Hey guys, in today's video, I'd like to share with you 10 stocks that I believe have the potential for huge bullish runs in the remainder of 2024 and heading into the new year 2025. I'll go through my reasons why I believe these stocks are significantly undervalued at current state and what my price targets for each stock is. Now, if you're new to this channel, I would really appreciate you smashing the like, subscribing for more related content at alliseeisW, where we gain on positive proceeds together and lead with an altruistic mindset. Let's begin where I cover the first stock. So the first stock I wanted to cover is Marathon Digital. This is a Bitcoin mining stock that has been just so volatile in the recent weeks. The fact that Bitcoin has reached its all-time high that we've seen recently in like the last week, getting up to about 108,000 current price with Bitcoin at like 94,000 at the time of this video here. We see a lot of fluctuations with Mara. However, from a current price standpoint, I do think that Mara, the fact that it's been just bleeding since November 24 now to December 22nd. I believe here is a great opportunity to dollar cost average down. Let's say if you were to buy at the top at $30, where it currently is here at $19, I do think it's undervalued, and we're going to see this bullish signal picking back up. Mara is the number one miner in terms of HODL account with Bitcoin. They have about 44,000 Bitcoin on their balance sheet on top of their ability to mine Bitcoin as well as buying Bitcoin as well. They took a big loan of 2 billion and acquired a significant amount of Bitcoin. So that's why I am very bullish on this pure miner play, Mara. I think that in this remainder 8 days in the new year here, 2024, heading into 2025, I think that it's going to have that retest of 2025 as we head towards the end of the year. And if it can break through that 26 barrier, we're going to see that simple retest of $30. But I think as we head into Q1 of 2025, I think there's that potential $45 range at a minimum. We scale back here. We've seen how high it's gone up, $84 at one point during the last Bitcoin bull rally. So that's why I believe we've just seen Mara under the water and it has that potential to break out. Next stock I wanted to share that has big potential here is CleanSpark. Current price at $11. I mean, just recently, back in November, during the time when President Trump was announced president in November, we saw that bullish run here, and it's just been bleeding out in the last couple of weeks here. But I think that CleanSpark is undervalued. It's the number two in terms of Bitcoin mining production. It actually acquired about 622 Bitcoins per month last month with their production data. But overall, they're going to increase their hash rate by 50 exahash. That has to do with the mining capacity. The more exahash you have, the more Bitcoins you will mine. So CleanSpark also has a high number of Bitcoin on their balance sheet, close to about 9,000. So CleanSpark, the fact that they can mine at a high throughput at a low cost, I think that this pure miner play, especially with the current price at $11, definitely undervalued. We scale back 1 year range. CleanSpark went up to about $24 back in February or March. So I definitely do think that CleanSpark is undervalued. Also taking a convertible note to build on their exahash with the milestone of being 50 on top of just paying off their line of credit with Coinbase, as well as buying back shares to prevent dilution. I really think that CleanSpark here has the potential to get back up to like that $24. So that's easy 100% gain in the near term. Next stock I wanted to share here that I think has huge potential here is Riot platform, ticker RIOT. The fact that we see the current price at $11, I definitely do think that it's undervalued. Just with the overall 1 year charts here, just I think that back in December, this stock was like hovering at like $18, current price at 11. It's still minus like 30-40%. So it's underperformed. But I do think that just with all of the news that has come out recently, Starboard, a big time investor, just purchased so much shares of Riot. So now the company has to really, listen to big time investors, with Starboard trying to position right to use their current facilities to deploy that for building on its capability to get into high powered quantum computing. And I think that as a result of that, Riot will start positioning themselves not only as a Bitcoin miner company, but also as a company that will generate revenue from AI cloud-based service. So this is really going to be beneficial for Riot. And for those reasons, I do think that Riot has that potential heading into 2025 with that 3 to 5x potential. So what we currently see at $11, that's definitely undervalued. And I think that there's so much opportunity here. And on top of that, Riot just acquired a huge number of Bitcoin, currently holding close to about 18,000 Bitcoins on their balance sheet, on top of mining consistent Bitcoins per month of like 500, along with increasing their hash rate with a goal of improving their operational efficiency. So Riot is definitely a stock to watch in the 2025. Next, we're looking at MicroStrategy. So MSTR has been such a workhorse. We've seen this company do so well. I mean, in 2024, this was like the number one workhorse here, that has been just performing, as you can see here, just looking at that upward trajectory. At one point, it got up to $540, and Citron announced a short, and then current price now at like 364. We did see a bounce back on Friday of about 11%, which you see here, that green stick candle. MSTR, why does this stock look so attractive? Well, starting tomorrow, they're going to be enrolled in the QQQ NASDAQ 100 passive investing. So the fact that MSTR is now with the big boys, I think there's going to be a lot more investors who are attracted to MSTR, given the fact that now when you're invested in index funds, you actually own MSTR as well. So what that means is you technically indirectly own a portion of Bitcoin. MSTR, I think we've seen some consolidation over the coming weeks, but I do think that we're gonna see that gap up. I think of MSTR as like the Nvidia of like the Bitcoin Titan companies. And from my perspective, I think that it's going to retest that $540 as we head into January. And once we get towards the later phase of 2025, we can potentially see this ramp up even further to like 1 to 2x potential with MSTR. Next stock I wanted to cover is BitFarm. So what we currently see here is that the price of BitFarm is $1.68. Yes, while we do recognize that BitFarms, they've slowed down their business strategy, they didn't meet what they were supposed to commit to in terms of implementing their strategy. We see the share price dropping down, but from a technicals and fundamental analysis here, the fact that the stock has been so oversold, I do think that here's an opportunity to dollar cost average down, or even just buying at this low point here. We know that BitFarms at one point back in February, I mean, it was close to about $4, and then June timeframe 324, and then November timeframe when the Donald Trump announcement came into play, 275. I think that just with these low points here back in May, we saw that at 149. And what happened? It catapulted up here. Um, and just looking at the low point here at 158, I don't think it's going to stay this low for Bitfarms. And for those reasons, I'm going to forecast a bump up, given the fact that the RSI is oversold, and we can see that potential just run up of like 80% to 1x or even more. Okay, so if we see this bounce back up to like, 328, then that means that's a 1x potential here. And I think that that can happen within a matter of like couple weeks. So from a value standpoint, I think that because everyone is not interested in BitFarms, that's when you seek the potential investments in the hidden gem companies. And I think BitFarms is one of those companies that can really outperform a lot of stocks currently. Next stock I wanted to cover is super microcomputer, so SMCI. So with SMCI at one point, right, they were around all over the news back in March, hitting $122, getting into NASDAQ 100. And what do we see here? We see just a continuous descending resistance, the Ichimoku cloud hovering over the price, bringing that overall price down, down, down over the coming months. And where we are now, current price of like, it was like at $18 back in November, and then it had that run up to $48, and then now back down here to the low $30 here. So it's well in the region of the Ichimoku cloud. However, I think that because there's just been so much volatility here, if you're like a swing trader, you could potentially make some big bucks on SMCI, whether it's 30% potential or 50% potential. I think that because now they have, a firm that they were working on, like BDO trying to correct their accounting data, that will allow for SMCI to remain compliant and still be part of the NASDAQ 100. Overall, of course, SMCI isn't as good compared to a company like Nvidia, but just looking at the way that the stock has underperformed here, I think that there's that level of volatility, and because it's been descending for this amount of time, I do think that there's that potential upward trajectory, given the fact that we're seeing this in between the Ichimoku cloud now. We saw that the price at one point went above that Ichimoku cloud, but now it's in between that cloud. So it'll be interesting to see whether it goes up and breaks through the cloud range here, and SMCI can easily get back up to that $50 range. But I think that if it can get to that, $50 range, you could, sell and make, like a 60 to 70% gains there on this company if you're trading it. Next company I wanted to cover is AMD. So AMD, why do I think AMD has the potential here? Of course, AMD isn't similar to like Nvidia, but they are like the competitor to Nvidia. And why I like AMD is because they are a company that's sticking around. They're not going away. And the fact that at one point back in March, the share price was at $226, where you see it now at $119. It's been bleeding out for close to about a year already, so for 3 quarters. But if just scale back out, I think with this prior high back in 2021 at 163 December, down to this low point here, support level December. So it took about a year from $163 to $56 to about $56 within a year. So we have about 3 months remaining. If it follows that historical trend, it may continue to go down further. But I think that if you are a believer of AMD, dollar cost averaging down right now can be very helpful, because I think that whether it will bleed out further within the next 3 months, I think that it's a good entry point opportunity, and we're going to see that upward climb for AMD, given the fact that these stocks are just going to continue to go up, especially with AI-based demand currently. Next company I wanted to cover is C3 AI. So C3 AI, I mean, just recently it's been, just performing very well here. At one point it got up to about $44. We heard the news here with this big green candle where it's partnering up with Microsoft. And just with the recent week of trading, it went from like $44 to $33. I think The fact that it's above the Ichimoku cloud and the fact that it's been so volatile, like going down like significantly last week, I think that we're going to see that bounce back up from an intraday perspective. So C3 AI working with Microsoft, that's a huge partnership. And I think this is really going to be like the next Palantir stock that's going to outperform a lot of companies. And this company has been around for many years. They have patented technology and they are actually generating cloud-based revenue, partnering up with a number of customers right now. Next company I wanted to cover is an EV based company, and that is Rivian. So, Rivian, why do I like Rivian so much? Well, because they've been bleeding out for so long. I mean, you go back here to 2022, it was $35. 2023 is $27. 2024, $18. Just recently it got up to about $15 December 17, and where it's currently at 1383. I think that because we see this upward trend here, I think that it's going to start climbing back up. We can see that test, the 18, $20 as we head into the new year here. And just with Rivian working with Volkswagen, they're getting a lot of partnerships going on, and Volkswagen is one of the biggest, car manufacturers out there. So there's a lot more demand with Rivian cars now on the streets. You see a lot more Rivian vehicles. So it's becoming more common out there. And I think that the demand for this vehicle is increasing. Manufacturing capacity is increasing. So for those reasons, I do think that Rivian is becoming a more mature electric vehicle company. And from a share price standpoint, I definitely think that it has opportunity here. Next and last stock I wanted to cover is Lucid. I mean, Lucid, looking at the price here, right? I mean, it's in the single digits here, right? It's not a company when you compare it to Tesla, but from a value standpoint, question is, can it go up to $4? Can it go up to $5? I mean, just with this recent candle here, it's great to see that it broke through that Ichimoku cloud. The fact that it's just been bleeding out for so long, I think that what goes down for so long will eventually have those run-ups, right? And the question is, will it break through that $4 in the next coming days and weeks? I think that it can. I think that it's going to start retesting that $4.39. We scale back at one point, this ran up to about $15 back in 2023 when the Saudi Arabia news came out. And we heard recently Saudi Arabia continues to support this company. And I believe the fact that Lucid was able to meet their demand production, there's people out there, even though it's a small quantity, there is a demand of like 9,000 vehicles manufactured per year. So at least there's some buyers. Of course, it's not like Tesla's out there, and that's why the share price is so low. But I think from a value standpoint, when it comes to stock investing, whether it's like day or swing trading, we can easily see this pop back up to 450. So if it goes up to 450, I mean, that's like, that's less than, 100% gain. But overall, that's just my overall insight there. I definitely think that, it's less riskier to buy shares of Lucid at like, $3 than it was like at $15 or $8. So there's opportunity here to make money. But of course, when you do invest, please always do your research. So these are the 10 stocks I wanted to cover. I hope that this video is valuable. And if you thought that it was valuable, please make sure to like, subscribe for more related content. Thank you.